Hello and welcome into the final edition of Mariners Monday. So far, we've only had players on the podcast. This week, that changes because we have Coach Steve Englert on the podcast. Coach, thanks for joining us this week.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
There's so many places we could start, and I think that there's one place that we must start, though, and that is with the nicknames and the traditions we've had here in Harwich. You've gotten to know all the player nicknames. So how long have you been giving players nicknames? Is this something that's been going on for a couple decades?
Yeah, since we started up here. It's just kind of something that we incorporated to get a little icebreaker, and, the guys, if it's a kind of a funny nickname, and the guys have fun with it when they, they see the names on the board and whatnot. So we try to do that every year. But it can't just be forced. It's something that needs to evolve.
So that was sort of my next question. They have to come to you, don't they? I mean, I know when I was at the All-Star game, I was holding an umbrella, and I all of a sudden got the nickname Mary Poppins.
Yeah, it wasn't an umbrella. It was like one of these umbrellas that you must have stole from the kids' camp. It was a little pink thing. It barely covered your shoulders, so you look like Mary Poppins. So that's an easy one, Mary Poppins.
Okay, well, do you have a specific nickname that is your favorite, and have you given yourself a nickname ever?
No, you can't give yourself a nickname. That's terrible. Come on now. But no, over the years we've had a lot of good ones, but I don't know, really nothing that really jumps out. It varies from season to season. This year we got Nate Eichhoff. He's a kind of miserable kid, so we call him Salty.
I wasn't sure on the origin of that, but now we all know. Why is he called Salty? Well, because he's, according to Coach Englert, a miserable kid. Yes. Well, you also, of course, bring out your famous jersey collection for one of the last games of the season, one of the last home games of the season. So I'm just sort of curious. You have a ton of jerseys. First of all, how many do you have, and how have you collected them over the years?
I don't know. We started that when I was at BC. The head coach and I used to try to have one-up each other on them, and started out on eBay, and then we found a couple of websites that are really cheap, but I like doing it every year. It's a fun day for the guys, and the fellas love it, and half of them don't even know who the players are, so you try to give them a little history of the game.
Well, I know this past season you were wearing the Pete Frates jersey. Is there one particular jersey, whether it's the Pete Frates jersey or whether it's a different jersey, that means the most to you?
Yeah, Pete Frates, I coached him 4 years at BC, and the kid's one of the toughest kids I know, and obviously the amount of money that he's raised for the ALS Foundation. So I always try to give him a tribute during that day. So I wear that jersey. I wear that jersey as often as possible. It's a great beach shirt, and a lot of people come up to you when they see that because they know what the Ice Bucket Challenge was and all of that. But that's just to give Pete my, just to let him know I'm always thinking of him.
Well, it's a great way to honor him. And now moving from some of the traditions you have here in Harwich over to the beginning of your baseball coaching career. After college and your time at Boston College, you became a high school coach. Then you came up here. And just sort of take me through some of the first jobs you had in coaching and then how you sort of got here in Harwich.
I started out at Brookline High. I was working downtown in financial sales, and I was able to swing doing both, getting in the high school job, and then I moved to Richmond, Virginia, coached high school there for a couple of years, and I got an opportunity to come up here and coach for a summer because I really wanted to get at the college level, and I know that would open up some doors, and it did. Billy Best, who's a close friend of mine who was with NC State at the time, was the head coach. He hired me, gave me my first job up here, and we're still close to this day. He's now a scout with the Braves, and he's kind of my recruiting coordinator in the East Atlantic.
So you mentioned your recruiting coordinators. A lot of people don't quite understand how players are brought in here in Harwich. Could you sort of elaborate on that a little bit as to how you're able to bring some of the players in?
Well, it's mostly with the relationship you've developed over the years with certain college coaches. Coaching in the ACC has really helped. You get to see players every weekend. You get to know the coaches, and being able to see the kids firsthand, locking in on them on a weekend and seeing how they go about their business, that's a big plus. And now having developed those relationships, those coaches know what type of player that we're looking for, and we've had some pretty good talent here through the years.
So, of course, you have your own sort of style in coaching, but is there anyone who has been a specific mentor towards you in coaching or someone who has influenced you in particular?
Well, I try to take something from every head coach that I've worked with. The very first guy, Billy, I saw how he coached the atmosphere that he created around here, and I said, if I ever get a head job, I'm going to try to simulate that. But you try to take something from every single head coach that you've worked for, and each guy kind of adds to that. And I had the good fortune of working for several head coaches, and each has a different style, and sometimes you just okay, I'm not interested in doing it that way, but I really like the way he handles this particular instance and what have you, and so you try to incorporate it from all the different types of guys that you work for.
You talk about a number of different coaching styles you have. How would you describe your philosophy in coaching?
Up here, it's a lot different than you would be in a college atmosphere. I mean, up here, it's a showcase league, and obviously you want to win. Anytime you keep in score with anything, you want to win. But that's not the number one goal up here. The number one goal is here to try to showcase these kids and get them better. And I think we try to do that every summer and make sure they have a fun, enjoyable experience. So I think we've done pretty much that in the last 20 years or so. But and we've won some games along the way, which is good. And I think kids appreciate letting them go out and play. We're not going to bunt in the first inning or what have you, and just go out there and let them do their thing and try not to manipulate the game, and just let them play baseball. And I think they appreciate that, and they'll put in an honest effort, hopefully.
I know we've seen a lot of that in your time here on Cape Cod, and it's definitely a balance you have, of course, trying to win a championship at the same time as trying to get these kids better and trying to show them in front of the scouts. You mentioned not bunting in the first inning and then also trying to keep the arms healthy. So how are you able to combine all those three things and still try to give everybody an opportunity?
It's a difficult task, but it's still just a game. You're just playing baseball. You go out and you try to get better every single day, and the chemistry will come together if the kids embrace that type of atmosphere, and hopefully you can win some games doing that.
I know that in your coaching career you've been very active in coaching catchers. So what do you look for specifically in a catcher, and what work do you do with the catchers, both back at Boston College and now here in Harwich?
Well, just toughness is the number one thing. The kid has to be extremely tough to be a catcher. They're one of the most important guys on the field. They're the quarterback basically out there. They touch the ball more than anybody on the field, and just the makeup and how they go about their business, and if they have energy and passion for the game, and that's a big plus for me.
Well, I know that work seems to have paid off behind the plate. We've seen Brad Debo develop into a really strong catcher. Joey Bart last season was up here for some time, was the second overall pick in the 2018 MLB draft. Those are a couple of stars you work with, but I want to focus on one specific catcher you worked with back at Boston College, and that was Tony Sanchez back in 2009. You helped him develop into the fourth overall pick, and you sort of described the relationship you had with him in that season at Boston College.
Well, he came in as a short, roly-poly kid, and I'll tell you that a big reason behind his development, not only just with the way he went about his business, we had a backup catcher. His name was Harry Darling, and those two would push each other every single day. I mean, the backup wasn't going to play a lick, and I used to have to create types of competitions every day during practice because he knew he wasn't going to. Sanchez knew the job was his. So we had to try to find something so he could continue to work and get better. So having that kid, Harry, with us was huge in that aspect, and that really helped him along the path. So I can't really take all the credit for that. Harry was more so than me because he pushed that kid every day.
It's always good to have competition to continue to try to improve. And now moving over specifically into your time in Harwich, you won 2 championships here on Cape Cod. Back in 2008, the Harwich Mariners won it all. In 2011, the Mariners won it again. So take me through those seasons when the Mariners were able to go all the way and win the Cape Cod Baseball League championship.
Oh, yeah, those 2 seasons, those teams are just tremendous individuals. Great kids, grinders. The makeup was off the charts. The chemistry was there. They had great coaching staff, and that's a big plus. You got to surround yourself with good assistants, and that attributes to the success of the team. And all the kids got along great. They all wanted to be here. We stayed healthy, and they were just grinders. And it turns into a war of attrition down the stretch. You don't have to be necessarily the best team. It's a team that's going to grind the most down and get hot down the stretch is the team that's going to come out on top.
And I know that you've had a number of great moments during your coaching career. Would you say winning the Cape Cod Baseball League championships were some of your greater moments?
Well, I think that '08 championship, it stands out because they hadn't won a championship since '84. And to me, more importantly, it was for the town and all the volunteers here, Mary Henderson and the Henderson family and all the host families and all of the volunteers that come up and help this organization. And that was big for me, for them. And that they got something to stick their chest, puff their chest out with and over the off season and whatnot, and to be able to do that, bring a championship to the town, that's what meant more to me than anything else.
Well, the Mariners are back in the postseason this year, and the Mariners will be taking on the Chatham Anglers in the first round. What are we going to have to do to not only move past that first round, but move forward in this playoffs?
I think we have to score more runs. I think if we score more runs, then we'll win the game. It's a joke. It's a joke. You thought it was serious. Yeah. You got to pitch it, you got to play defense, and you got to get hits with guys in scoring position. That's how you win. That's how you win. Play tremendous defense, limit your walks, hits with guys in scoring position.
Well, now to sort of wrap this up, I'm going to take us back all the way to last season. After a game between the Mariners and the same Anglers that we'll be taking on next weekend, there was an instance last year where I asked you questions, post-game questions, after a tough loss to the Chatham Anglers, and you told me, you got to wait a minute. And you told me it taught me tough love. Can you go and describe tough love in a little bit more detail?
Well, it was a little more vulgarity spewed out of there. And I think we need some more of that in this day and age. And you haven't forgot it because we had another walk-off and you waited out the dugout and gave me some 20 minutes of cool-down time and you learned. And you learned. So that tough love paid off for you, Mary Poppins.
Well, that'll do it from us with Mariners Monday. Thank you so much again, Coach, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.